Following Order 66, Sidious quickly dispensed with his old allies, the Confederacy of Independent Systems, and for years after his rise to power, he had the Separatist worlds punished for their part in the war. But what if the CIS leadership never fully trusted Sidious? What if they made contingency plans? Now, as we know, much of the Separatist Council was made up of shrewd businessmen. For this reason, it makes sense that they would not put all their resources at stake on the word of one man, even if they did trust Sidious. So, we're going to say that the CIS leadership had a contingency plan, one that they didn't tell Sidious nor Dooku about. Far in the unknown regions, on one of the countless uncharted moons, they secretly have fortresses made. This includes shipyards, factories, farms, everything they need to survive and grow, all ran by droids and a complete secret from their Sith allies. Essentially, it's like a bunker. If they'd heard some stories from the Sith of old, how they butchered many of their allies, you can definitely see how they'd be cautious putting all their resources on the line. For this reason, we're going to say when Dooku's killed, the leadership becomes suspicious. Dooku was after all meant to be Sidious's right-hand man, and now he's dead, and they've been put in the hands of Grievous, a glorified attack dog, and sent to Mustafar. And after Grievous's death, some members of the leadership are going to flee to their fortresses in the unknown regions. Now, as for those who stay, likely Gunray amongst others, as he was one of Sidious's original allies, we're going to say that they get killed and the droid army is still shut down as it is in our timeline. But Sidious will note that a fraction has escaped. However, he mostly gets what he wants. Key figures brought to justice and the droid army is shut down. But what happens from here? Well, the Separatist Council members who survived are going to be outraged. Sidious has betrayed them, he's almost killed them, and he's liquidated all their assets and taken almost everything that they own. For this reason, they begin to plot. They're going to have to cut ties with the rest of the CIS, knowing that that's going to be done for as the Empire had its eyes on it very quickly after it took power. They'd likely evacuate a few key admirals and generals before disappearing without a trace, leaving CIS worlds to the tender mercies of the Empire. They then use their reserve factories and shipyards to begin rebuilding their military in secret, with one objective: revenge. Sidious would be very angry that some of the Separatist leaders escaped and would likely have Vader and his Moffs attempt to track them down. This would likely result in far harsher treatment of ex-CIS worlds. However, we're going to say that the CIS remnants remain undiscovered despite how unlikely this is. And we're going to say that they await their opportune moment to attack. And when would be a better time than after the Alliance destroy the Death Star? The Imperials were in chaos for a long time after this, and were so preoccupied with the rebellion, a Separatist reprisal would be the last thing they expected. Many believed that the Separatists were long gone. Imagine CIS warships entering the Outer Rim and begin wiping out key Imperial targets, which would have been scouted out during the decades they'd had in exile. The Separatist fleet makes short work of unprepared Imperial spaceports and shipyards, whilst their colossal army wipes out factories and ground facilities. Meanwhile, the Rebellion and Separatists would likely open negotiations. Both want the same thing, and they would make natural allies at this point. The Rebellion needs men and troops, and the Separatists need more knowledge about the Empire. We're going to say the Separatists begin to liberate worlds and businesses that were annexed by the Empire. For example, the Techno Union and Banking Clan. The rulers of these organisations and worlds would quickly rebel against their Imperial overlords, and I believe that the Imperials would soon begin to feel the sting of their depleting assets. As well as this, many rogue senators in the Empire who secretly hated it and its regime would begin to coup to overthrow Imperials on their worlds and allow the CIS to move in for the kill on Coruscant. Now, eventually I see this scenario ending in a siege of Coruscant, the Imperial homeworld, blocking escape and cutting off Sidious's span of power. Now, over time, Imperial admirals, leaders and troops would begin to surrender, but droids wouldn't. They would march straight to Sidious's throne room without hesitation. For this reason, I believe Sidious would not be able to defeat the CIS and Rebel forces combined. However, this is not the end of the galaxy's problems. We'll say Sidious and Vader are dead, and his underlings are the same or surrendered. Now, the Rebellion is going to want to build the Republic, but But the old Separatist leaders, on the other hand, are going to want to rebuild the empires that they lost after Sidious betrayed them, and a republic bringing in new laws and regulations is the last thing they needed. For this reason, I believe the new CIS would turn on the rebellion as soon as their usefulness has expired. They would now pull the strings in the galaxy, deciding laws and regulations, all made in the interest of increasing their own wealth and span of power. But what do you think? Is this possible, and what would a galaxy under this new CIS rule look like? Thanks for watching, I do hope you enjoyed. If so, please remember to like, sub and share, as it's really appreciated and helps the channel grow. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter @TheLawGuy for regular updates. Thanks for watching, I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.